I'm Christine from Potential Unlocked. For many years I've worked with my clients, helping them to achieve the highest business performance possible for them. But how have they done this? They've done this by using a business framework. And I'm really excited to be able to share with you my experiences and my tips throughout the video clips. Today, I'm going to go through the 9 elements of a business framework. I'm just going to give you a little bit of a taster, and over the following weeks, we'll be covering off each of these particular 9 elements. Now, an organisation absolutely has to know where it wants to go and what it wants to achieve. And this is what we do call our vision or our purpose. Now, I've lost count the amount of times when I've asked my clients, what is your purpose? The answer I get, profit. Well, that's great, but why do you need profit? We'll cover that later. I want to talk through a bit about stakeholders and knowing your stakeholders. So why do we need to know who they are? Well, we're not mind readers, because a customer is a key, or a client is a key stakeholder of ours. And if we're not aware of what their expectations of us are, how are we going to put our plans in place? How are we going to make sure we've got the right processes to deliver on their expectations? So being clear about our purpose, being clear about who our stakeholders are, it's a good idea for an organisation to know what risks are out there. So we're talking about the risks internally, and we're also talking about the risks externally. No matter which way you look at it, risks can have an impact on what you want to achieve as an organisation. When we're looking at what our risks are, it's a really, really good idea to get a good cross-section of your organisation together, because they're all going to be coming from different perspectives, and then you're going to get the bigger picture rather than possibly just getting 1 or 2 people with their focus. A really interesting concept is leadership responsibilities. Long gone are the days where leadership can just, can I use the term, pass the buck for others to get on with the job. They really do need to take ownership of the business framework. They've got to lead that. They've got to resource it. They need to communicate to the organisation what their expectations are. Without this leadership in place and supporting the business framework, the chances of it being successful and getting the results that you want probably are going to be quite limited. So with the purpose of the organisation signed off, we've actually got to work out what we actually want to achieve. So now we've got to break that down into goals, objectives, targets, things along those lines, because there's no possible benefit of just telling an organisation, this is the purpose, off you go, do your job. We've got to break it down for them. We have to give them a roadmap of what needs to be achieved. Another thing an organisation needs to consider is resourcing. Now, all the great planning in the world is going to go absolutely nowhere if you haven't considered your resources. So what is the operating budget? What type of staff do we need to put in place? What type of work environment and the tools and things along those lines that they need? What type of documentation do they need? There's lots of things, and you'll probably think of a lot more for your own organisations. Resourcing and being aware of the resourcing requirements to be able to achieve your purpose within the organisation is critical for it being successful. Another element in the business framework is being able to plan and manage our processes. So the roadmap that I spoke about previously now has to be broken down into bite-sized pieces. So you might have all different types of plans in place. You'll have procedural documentation. You'll have monitoring. You'll have measuring your processes. You'll have making sure that you're checking in every now and again, doing inspections. doing quality assurance checks or quality control checks. There's lots of things that you can do here. We're making sure that, yes, we've planned our processes and we're also managing our processes, because ultimately, remember, we need to deliver on our stakeholder expectations. The next element is quite an interesting one. It's how did we go? Sometimes organisations are not so good at stopping and reflecting on their progress, and this needs to be done. So we've put wonderful practices in place, we've recruited the right people, we've got all the processes working on quite nicely, but we forget to stop and review. We need to do that on a regular basis, and regular means different things for different people. But you want to know, are we achieving what we set out to achieve? And if we're not, what are we going to do? What actions do we need to put in place to make sure that we get back on track? The last element of the business framework is improvement opportunities. Now, these can come from a number of different areas. It can come from our staff. It can come from our customers, our clients, other stakeholders that we may have. If you have a board, it can come from a board. So what's the point of making sure we have got some improvement opportunities? We never get it right. We're human, and there needs to be a process in place for capturing these opportunities, because that ultimately will be fed back into your planning phase to improve your planning. And ultimately, we also should be linking it back to our purpose of an organisation. If you'd like any further information, please feel free to reach out to Potential Unlocked.